Hey guys, it is Miss Rakowski, obviously, and if you will look behind me, you will see I am at school. They asked me to come in and clean up my classroom and gather all of your personal belongings, so I've been working hard all morning trying to organize everything. I set a meeting time for 11 o'clock and only Daniel came. I don't know where everybody is, but maybe, I don't know. Anyways, I'm going to read chapter 9 of Land Remembered while I'm in the classroom. And hit me up on your channel if you have any questions, or if you can tell me why you didn't come to the meeting, or if there's something wrong with Teams today, because I haven't heard anything like that. So anyways, I'll just go ahead and read the book. Chapter 9. It says, the morning after Tobias arrived home from the trading post, he left the house early and strode briskly through the woods toward the cow pen. Zek had tried to trot up to keep with him. He said excitedly, "Where are we going in such a hurry, Papa? What are we going to do?" Tobias felt good. His stomach was full of Kunti biscuits and his lanky legs covered 3 feet per step. When he reached the pen, he gazed for a moment at the cow, and then he opened the gate and propped a stick against it to keep it open. "What are you doing, Papa?" Zek said anxiously, completely puzzled by his father's actions. "You gonna turn him loose after all that ruckus we had catching him?" "If I don't, he'll die." "How come? He looks fine to me." "Look there at the ground," Tobias said, pointing. "Not a blade of grass left, and we sure don't have any hay or corn to feed him. He's got our mark. I'll turn him loose now so he can eat, and then we'll catch him again later. Go back to the house and fetch the horse with the branding iron. We'll catch another one this morning, and we'll mark him right there in the woods." Zek turned and ran toward the clearing, still not understanding what had come over his father. The cow seemed puzzled as well. It stood, eyeing the man in the open gate, and then it shook its horns and it backed into the far side of the pen. Tobias went inside and he circled the cow. When it still would not move, he said loudly, "Shoo, shoo, cow, get!" The cow backed further against the fence and snorted. Tobias said, "Dang critter, as much as you fought getting in here, now you won't get out." Then he started jumping up and down, flailing his arms wildly, shouting, "Get! Get! I said get!" The cow watched Tobias for a moment, and then it rushed forward, bounded out the gate into the woods, bellowing loudly. Just then Zek came back, riding the horse at full gallop. He reined up and got off and said, "I got the iron, Papa, but if you're going to turn him loose, how come we got to catch another one?" "Oh, just do it, Zek," Tobias said. "Let's go down by the hickory flat and see what's there." When they reached the grove of hickory trees, Tobias mounted the horse. They remained very still, listening. After a few minutes, Zek whispered, "I hear one, Papa. He's over there to the right in the brush." "I'll go after him," Tobias says. "If I can get up to him, I'll jump off and grab him by the horns, and then you run in and help me." Tobias moved the horse toward the sound, and when he came around the side of the clump of huckleberry bushes, a runty black bull was standing there. It immediately turned and ran. When Tobias kicked it in the flanks, the horse bounded forward quickly. For 50 yards, horse and rider rushed after the bull, but then the bull made a sudden turn to the left, and the horse crashed headlong into the thick of muscadine vines and became entangled. It kicked and bucked, trying to break free, and then it threw Tobias right over its head and into the vines, entangling him even worse. Zek ran up and said, "Give me your hand, Papa, I'll pull you out." The horse continued to buck as Zek pulled and strained, and Tobias finally popped free. They broke the vines from the horse's legs and they backed it up out of the entanglement. Tobias then shouted, "You fool! You should have turned with the bull!" He's yelling at the horse. Zek said, "It ain't all his fault, Papa. I was watching. You didn't try to turn him quick enough. You got to give him better directions so he'll know what to do." "Maybe so, but this ain't gonna work. I tell you what, Zek, you get on that horse and I'll climb up in a tree. Try to turn the bull under the tree and I'll drop down on top of him and catch him. It might just work." Zek got on the horse and rode off into the brush, and Tobias climbed the nearest tree. As soon as he found the bull, Zek circled slowly to the right and came up behind him. Then he charged, herding the bull back the way it had come. Tobias sat on the limb watching. The bull was coming straight to him, and Zek was in hot pursuit. Just as the bull reached the tree, Tobias turned loose, dropped down, and landed solidly on the bull's back. He grabbed the horns in both hands, and he locked both long legs around its stomach. The bull continued running at full speed for 20 yards, and then bull and rider crashed to the ground. The breath was knocked from him, but Tobias managed to shout, "Zek, get the fire going! Hurry, get the iron hot! I don't think I can hold him for too long." Before Zek could even start gathering sticks for a fire, that bull jumped up, bucked around and started running again. Tobias tightened his legs and hung on. The bull changed directions twice, and then it ran under a low-hanging limb that caught Tobias right in the chest. He let go of the horns, grabbed the limb, and for a moment, both bull and rider left the ground, hung suspended in midair. And then Tobias's legs turned loose, and he flipped backwards, hitting the ground upside down as the bull dropped down and bounded away. Zek shouted, "You done real good, Papa. You was really riding him till he run under that limb." Tobias got up and examined himself to see if anything was broken. He said, Zach, I wasn't trying to ride him. I was trying to throw him. What we need is a rope. When I get one on the ground, then you could tie its legs up, and then he can't get up before we put the mark on him. Next time, we're bringing a rope. Zach was so awed by his father's performance, he said, you done real good, Papa. You had that bull going some time before he knocked you off. Hadn't been for that limb, you could have rode him slam back to the house. We're going to try again? Maybe tomorrow. I'm pretty sore right now, but there's just got to be a way if we could figure it out. It was early morning a month later when Zach ran into the clearing shouting, come quick, Papa, hurry, down to the cow pen. Tobias rushed outside, followed the fleeing boy, having to run full stride just to keep up with him. When they reached the pen, Zach shouted, look here, Papa, look! Inside the pen, there was a small black stallion, that's a horse, its sleek body glistening with muscles. On its back was a mounted McClellan saddle, that's like a special fancy type of saddle. Tied to the outside of the fence were two dogs. Both were tall, gray, and shaggy, and they looked almost exactly like wolves. Zach jumped up and down with excitement. Where'd they come from, Papa? Who brought them here? Can't say, Tobias said, but that horse didn't put himself in there, that's for sure. But I think I know. He's a marsh tacky. Zach ran into the pen, leaped onto the saddle. He whirled that horse around, shouting, look here, Papa! He could turn quicker than a rabbit! And then he kicked it in the side and bounded the fence in one leap and made a wide circle out through the woods. When he came back to the pen, Zach jumped off and said, he flies like a bird, Papa. We'll get cows now. Ain't no cow can outrun him, even in the swamp. But he needs a name. What we gonna name him? Tobias thought for a moment, and then he said, Ishmael. We'll call him Ishmael. That's a good name for a horse. Well, what about the dogs? Zach asked. What are we gonna name them? Dogs gotta have a name when you call them. Well, how about we name one after Old Tuck and the other one Nip? Nip and Tuck. How's that? That's fine, real fine. Zach went over and patted one of the dogs on the head, causing its tail to wag vigorously. He said, you're Nip and you're Tuck, and I'll bet you can keep them wild hogs out of our garden. I expect they will, Tobias said. They look like they could take on a bear, but I swear they could pass as wolves. They ain't, Papa. They's just good dogs. I could tell. We got to go back to the house and tell your mom about this. You scared the life out of her when you came running into the clearing shouting like you was. She don't know what the ruckus was about. We best go tell her so she don't worry. Zach untied the dogs, jumped back on the horse, and bounded away. The dogs looked after him, barking loudly. Tobias said, if that sight don't put Emma up a tree, nothing will. When Tobias reached the clearing, Emma was outside looking at the horse. The dogs were circling her, tails a-wagging. What is all this, Tobias? Has someone lost their horse and dogs? Well, looks like Christmas done finally come for us. Let's go inside and talk about it. Zach galloped away as they went into the cabin, sat at the table, and Tobias said, the Indians brung them. I know it was them. It couldn't be nobody else. Why? Why would they do this? They don't owe us nothing. They think they do, for what we did for them in the scrub. And it could be that they just wanted to do it. Whatever the reason, it is a blessing. I could have never bought that horse and them dogs, not in 100 years. There ain't that many coons in the swamp. Are they wild, the horse and the dogs? Well, they don't seem to be. They're probably trained real good. Keith Tiger told me his people had great herds of cattle before the soldiers took them away, and the horse they used was called a marsh tacky. They've probably been keeping some of them old horses and dogs all this time, hoping that someday they'd have cattle again and be able to use them. But that ain't likely going to happen, at least not anytime soon. I guess they wanted somebody to put those horses and dogs to use again. First the flower and now this, Emma said. Oh, I wish they would come to the house and we could give them something to thank them. I know. I wish I could have seen them too. Maybe they just didn't want to make a big deal out of it. It could be the Indian way. Oh, I still wish I could have thanked him. I know this means so much to you and Zach. Emma, it means more than you know. At least we got a chance now. Before this, we had no chance at all. We were just fooling ourselves, me and Zach, and I knowed it. I just didn't have the heart to tell him. But now we got a chance. Sweet. All right. Okay.